So I'm going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Susie Palladino. I am a program coordinator with Growing Minds, and I'm so happy to be here today with y'all. Pillar of Farm to School that we are going to talk about today are farm experiences. So farm experiences help connect students with local growers, producers, and farmers. Through this connection with local farmers, it helps students understand how and where their food is sourced, but also fosters an appreciation for our agricultural community. So you could take your students to a farm for a farm field trip to give everyone this experience, or in the off season, bring the farm to your classroom by inviting farmers to visit and to do a show and tell of their products. Regardless of the farm experience, these experiences empower children and their families to make informed food choices while strengthening the local economy and building resilient communities. So, next slide. Thanks, Debbie. So the toolkit connection that we want to point out for farm experiences are really all of them. Adding a farm experience to any of these lessons would just add value to the objectives and to the impact of the objectives. But in this case, I want to draw attention to the watermelon lesson, which if you're following along is on page 74. And then additionally point out that the farm field trips and beyond resources and the resources section on page 89 might be also useful to follow along or glance at. But the melon tasting is an opportunity where children are tasting different melons. And so they learn about the different types of local melons and become comfortable with tasting new foods. The children practice using their senses to explore environments and learn about making predictions. And finally, the children learn that many fruits come in different varieties and that all look and taste different. So how could you bring a farm experience to this lesson? Well, the next slide, Debbie. A farm visit. So prior to implementing this lesson, plan a visit to a local farm that grows watermelons. Or if that's not possible, a classroom visit. So consider inviting a watermelon farmer to your classroom to participate in the lesson. So they're tasting the melons alongside the farmer that, in theory, grows the watermelon. And finally, if inviting a farmer to the classroom is also not an option, this is why we produced our Meet Your Farmer videos. So you can show your students the Meet Your Farmer video to learn more about what farming watermelons looks like. Next slide. So to tell us more about farm experiences, I am so excited to introduce Marin Leroy. She is the Environmental Education Program Coordinator at Evergreen Charter School, which is based in Buncombe County, North Carolina. Marin has been implementing farm to school practices for 15 years. So I'm going to pass it off to her and let her share with you a little bit about her program.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us today. Evergreen is a K-8 school, and so I have had the opportunity to experience what farm visits and farmer visits to our school look like across that whole age range and grade range. From the pictures you can see here, the thing that I love about being able to take kids to farms is that it's just a really deeply sensory experience for them. Some kids have these opportunities to connect with food growing and understanding, the real sort of process behind that, but a lot of kids don't. And it's just one of those really important things about being a human, I think, to be able to understand that, food really does not come from a grocery store, and visiting farms is really like the best way to make that connection. So as you can see here, these are our 5th graders, and they are visiting. This is a local farm that grows vegetables and also grows different kinds of meat. Next slide. So one of the things that I find to be really helpful about visiting farms is that we can really make this connection between talking about what we can do to feed our bodies in a healthy way. I mean, we're always talking about that in the classroom, you know, the whole ecosystem of what we need to be a healthy human, and being able to see that farms need the same thing. The way we grow the food requires the input of healthy air, healthy soil, healthy water, and making that connection, I think, just really deepens when students can get their hands in it and on it and being able to connect. So I think that really, like, the intersection of the experience is really important. Next slide. And the other piece is really trying to support students in critical thinking about their food choice and place-based learning. And the thing that I find to be really interesting always with students is that you know, students don't often shop for their own food. And so it really is an important and idea that kind of sparks for them when they start. I mean, we do other classroom activities that sort of gets them exploring and thinking about that, like where the food comes from and what kind of choice we have when we go to a grocery store, or can we shop at a farmer's market, or a farm stand, and what all, you know, or can't we, or, and so all of those different experiences kind of contribute to choice, and if we have choice. And so we get into some really interesting, you know, conversations with the students about access, and I think those things are really important too, and again can really be benefited by going out and touching and feeling and having those at farm experiences. Next slide. So here at Evergreen, we do a lot of farm visits, like I said, across the grades. So one of the things that I have found is choosing local farms is really important, and also not only farms, like especially in more urban settings, community gardens can be a really great way to have a you know, school to farm experience. Some of our best and most long-term partners are some of our community gardens here in Asheville. We try to get extra volunteers to come along with us so that we can make our group sizes as small as possible. I think this is a really important component. If we can get group sizes down to 6 or 8 students instead of 15, it really helps student engagement. Of course, there's safety. We want to make sure that students are guided in a safe way or using tools in a safe way. And then also, whenever possible, integrating service into the visit, I think, is a really, you know, meaningful experience for the students. And also, I think it's why some of those community farms are our best partners, because they really look forward to our students coming to visit, because you can move a lot of mulch and you can turn a lot of compost with a bunch of 5th graders. So, and the kids are having fun, and it's hard work. It is very satisfying. So that's a really neat thing that we like to do, and I think is a tip